Washington, D.C.'s Chinatown has an iconic arch, its own metro stop, and a handful of Chinese businesses, but not many Chinese people. Urban decay, crime, and gentrification drove many away. Only a few hundred Chinese remain. But while Chinatown struggles, communities like nearby Rockville in the state of Maryland are prospering. Here, nearly 1 in 10 are of Chinese descent.
And you have to beware, it's hot tea.
Bob Liu came to the U.S. in 1991 and settled in Rockville.
Salute.
15 years ago, he opened Bob's Shanghai 66.
Is this the new Chinatown?
Well, people always call it the new Chinatown.
He's seen newcomers prefer to settle in places like this, not in old-fashioned Chinatowns.
Right now, Chinese come in with higher education, with a lot of capital and a lot of knowledge. So they don't have to stay together like, the old Chinatown.
But they still want a taste of home.
What is your specialty here?
Okay, right here, the XLB, of course, xiaolongbao.
Scrumptious dumplings filled with meat or vegetables, with a mouthful of soup in each bite.
How do you get soup inside them?
Well, it's a secret. I never will tell.
Initially, his customers were mostly Chinese. Now he serves a diverse crowd.
I don't want my kids to be sitting in Chinatown with, old traditional, Chinese all sit together. Right now they have their, own thoughts. They adapt into the American society. I think this is a good way.
In this new Chinatown, there are wushu martial arts studios, Chinese-owned businesses, even an auction house specializing in Ming and Qing dynasty antiques.
So how many items do you have at any one time?
I think so more than is the 10,000 different pieces.
Wow.
21 years ago, Amy Guo moved to Rockville and opened China Lubin Art and Antiques.
Chinese culture is something that everyone can appreciate. Chinese here in the United States will buy because they feel the need for some cultural attachment to their history.
Susan Lee was the first Chinese American in the Maryland legislature. She now represents Rockville and nearby communities in the state Senate. Her family moved here in the 1960s.
Well, there were very few Asian American families. In fact, we were probably one of 3 Chinese Americans living in Potomac, Maryland at the time.
The old Chinatown was a mostly insular community, avoiding U.S. politics. But in places like Rockville, that's changing.
The ones that came before us, the immigrants, they had to overcome tremendous discrimination, but they were able to prevail. And because of that, I think now the future generations, they understand they need to get involved, not just in their community, but also in politics, to be able to kind of control their futures and their destiny.
Back in Washington, D.C., the historic Chinatown faces an uncertain future. Ted Gong is a community activist and historian.
Has the rise of places like Rockville, suburban Chinese enclaves, threatened Chinatown in the city center?
I wouldn't say threatened. Chinatowns, like any other neighborhoods, grow, they evolve, and so things are going to be changing.
By preserving traditions and supporting places like this small shrine, he says Chinatowns can remain relevant.
Even though I'm a 3rd or 4th generation Chinese American, I still want to find something that kind of ties me to my Chinese roots or my Chinese American roots. And you can find that.
And that's Chinatown.
And that's Chinatown.
Jim Spellman, CGTN, Washington.